Hey y'all, Sarah from the Ancient Esoterica YouTube channel. Today I just wanted to hop on and share a quick message, a download that came through for me as I was watching a live stream from a fellow YouTuber, Dakota of Earth. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, definitely check it out. Lots of wisdom and lots of really cool content on his channel. But he was talking about desires and how many of our desires and our wants are actually imprinted upon us and are programmed within us. They're not actually really our own, and the intention behind that programming and behind those imprinted desires is to keep us distracted from the truth of reality and distracted from the truth of who we really are, to keep us disconnected from spirit and really just cycling through distractions. Putting our attention over here, it's almost like the media and the system has been dangling this carrot in front of us saying like, hey, look over here, completely taking our attention away from reality, away from the real world. And ways in which I've seen this in my own life is the fact that I feel like I have very much been imprinted with, and I feel like all of us are imprinted and programmed with this desire to follow the American dream. Now, to me, the American dream is this sort of illusion that has been fed to us that, you go to school, you graduate, you go to more school, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, and that's it. Then you're a cog in the system, you're a cog in the machine. And now this dream, this American dream, very much works and serves some people, especially a lot of earther souls. However, there are souls on this planet right now that are from many different lineages, many different star systems, different realms. And all in all, what that means is that there is no one size fits all reality for all of us. We are all different and we're all unique at our core. And many of us do not fit into this mold that is being forced upon us. And that's why we have so many addicts, why we have so many, drunks and drug addicts and distraction addicts, technology addicts. Like, we're all so confused and so unsatisfied and unfulfilled by this reality that has been imprinted upon us, by these desires that have been imprinted upon us and programmed within us to pursue these paths that don't resonate with us. And so many of us go through these paths, we take what we're given, we follow the leader, follow the crowd, fit the mold, and then one day we wake up and we find ourselves like living this reality that is not for us, that doesn't resonate with us, that doesn't feel good. And that's why I feel like so many people have, midlife crises or existential crises where it's like they wake up and they're like, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing? Who am I? Like, how did I get here? And I feel like that's because we're following these desire cycles that do not actually resonate with us. And so how do we find our own true authentic path? How do we decondition ourselves, deprogram ourselves, and recognize the desires that do actually serve us and that are actually good for us? Because for much of our lives, we've just been pursuing these desires that the powers that be and that the systems want us to pursue. Like, we have to get the nice Mercedes, or we have to get the nice big house, or get the job promotion. And I feel like for many of us, these desires represent a symbol. Like, the nice car represents a symbol of luxury. A nice house represents a symbol of stability and safety and promises more rewards in the future. However, a lot of these are just the distractions of the ego, and are the desires of this sort of limited, programmed version of ourselves that's just going through reality, very unconscious, very unaware, with their attention being just sapped up by whatever shiny object is dangling in front of us. And so all of us have an ego. I've been talking about this a lot, especially in my woodland journey videos, but we all have an ego, and that is something that is always going to be within us, even if we become enlightened, even if we become more advanced conscious beings. We are still going to have an ego, because our ego is the aspect of ourselves that creates our individuality and makes us an individual, separate version or separate aspect of source. Because everything we look at, all these trees, this hat, my glasses, me, it's all one energy. The same energy animates all of these things. That's why they say, we're all one. We are all children of God. We're all aspects of the one source. So that's a truth. However, there is an additional truth that whilst we are incarnated, we are separate. We are separate from the source at the same time as we are connected to it. We are a separate individual being walking this planet, having a temporary human experience. However, we are also connected to that whole. And so that is where the ego comes in. Our ego is that separate aspect of self, and it's our individuality. It's also contains our unique purpose. So that's why I always say, you don't want to kill the ego. You don't want to separate from the ego. You're going to do that when you die anyway. So just enjoy being an ego. Enjoy being a separate self while you're here, because it's all temporary. Nothing is permanent. This temporary ego that I am now, that calls itself Sara, is one day going to die and go back to the earth. And then I will become, egoless. And I will incarnate again and take on another ego, take on another avatar, personality construct. And so going back to the original point about how we are very much distracted and these desires that are not our own are imprinted upon us. So if you look at your life objectively, and now this is something I've been doing a lot lately, so I'll speak from my own experiences and perspectives. So I realized that I really was following these next steps that felt desirable in my life. Like, you get into a relationship, then you get married, then you work towards having kids, you get the house, those are very much the desires of the American dream. But the more I've been objective and the more I've spent time alone in quiet, just really connecting with myself and my authentic self and my wants, my needs, and my desires in any moment, the more I have really realized that those desires are not actually my own. That there is a part of me, whether this is my soul, whether this is just an aspect of my ego right now, but there is a part of me that does not want to have kids, at least at this moment in time. Now, I feel like it is ingrained within every physical being to reproduce and to desire to continue the lineage, to continue the species. However, the more we awaken and the more we connect with this infinite, limitless aspect of ourselves, the more we can see what our true desires are in any given moment, and see if we have just been distracted to think we want these certain things because we think it's going to give us some end result that we think is desirable. Now, key element of all this is the word think. We think we want it. We think this is going to give us the end result that we want. However, everything already exists within you. Like all the happiness, all the sadness, all the joy, all the grief, everything that we experience, it all exists within us. And the only thing that brings out those emotions, those elements, is whatever's happening in front of us. Like if you're watching a sad movie, those elements of grief are going to come up and be present. Now that grief already existed within you. Just like how you can watch a movie with one person who's bawling their eyes out, crying at one scene, and the other person is completely fine. That grief exists within both beings, but to different degrees, and it was that external distraction that was bringing it out. It wasn't the movie that was making you sad, because one person is not sad and one person is sad. It's the feelings that already are within you that are just being sort of liberated and tapped into as a result of wherever our attention is. And so what that means is that oftentimes the things that we think promise us happiness, like, we think, okay, I'll get married and then I'll be happy. Oh, now I'm not. Okay, well, now I'll have a kid and then I'll be happy. Oh, well, then I'll raise the kid and I'll put the kid in a good school and then I'll be happy and then I'll be worthy and then I'll be satisfied, fulfilled. We place this fulfillment in our emotions so far outside of us, and we've been convinced that that's the way life is. That's the American dream. Like I said, you go through school, you get the job, you get the wife, you get the house, ba-ba-da-boopy, you're good. But how many people get to the end of that line, the end of that path, and realize it's hollow and it's not actually what they wanted? They were just following these desires that have been imprinted within their minds, imprinted within their bodies, thinking it's going to bring them that feeling they seek, which, in my opinion, the feeling that most of us are seeking is happiness, fulfillment, and a sense of purposefulness. And so, like I said, within my own life, I really saw how I sort of fell into that American dream, that desire cycle of like, okay, I need to get a good job, I need to make a lot of money so that then I can get married and then I can have kids and have the house and yada yada. And it's crazy because even as I reflect on this now, I'm like, that's not the path that I want at all. It doesn't mean that one day I don't want to possibly get married if I meet the right person and I feel a very strong connection with that person. But it's not my end all be all. It's not like part of this desire cycle that I want. What I really truly desire is to travel the world, to spend more time in nature, to explore indigenous cultures and ancient civilizations and these other practices and ways of being and doing things on the planet. That's what I really desire, not to settle down in one place, especially because I don't really know what that one place is for me. My whole family is from the North Shore of Massachusetts, and it's sort of just like expected of me to get a job locally, to get married, to have kids, because my grandmother wants to be, a great grandmother and wants great grandkids, and because my mother wants me to get married, and like all these expectations and other people's false mental desires have been imprinted upon me. And the truth is, I do not resonate with my home area. I love the woods, I love Massachusetts nature, but the culture and the way of life and that's just the way it is, I can't do anything about it mentality, it is not resonant for me. It is not for me, and I don't desire to follow in the footsteps of my ancestors. It is truly my greatest desire to create a new life for myself, to be my own person, to explore this planet while I'm here, especially because I had a near-death experience and had to face off with my fear of like, oh shit, like I might die before I do what I really want to do. And that has just given me like so much healing, so much reflection, and so much sort of courage to go my own way and to find my own path, especially because this is all temporary and I don't know when I'm going to die. Back in 2017, when I was in my near-death experience, I had no idea that was going to happen. Even though there were inklings within me that entire summer before that near-death experience happened, I felt like I needed to be outside in the sun, doing things physically, like I said, outside in the sun, because there was a part of me that really did anticipate what was coming and knew that I would never really be able to be in the sun and to be physically active in the ways in which I could be that summer. And I have been really regaining my strength. I'm able to be out in the sun more. However, there are still some limitations that are upon me that I can't fully experience life the way that I once did. And I feel like that's why I sort of adopted and fed into these desire cycles that are not my own, that were imprinted upon me by society, like I said, the American dream, because I felt like that was all that was really possible for me. I felt very limited, and that, a lot of my true desires were not possible for me. And I feel like that happens for so many of us. Like, how many of you watching this right now had a dream when you were younger? Could be when you were a child, teenager, even as an adult. How many of you had a dream that you just stomped out and just keep repressed within you because you think you can't follow it, because you think you're too old, or you're too weak, or you have these other obligations, or you have to please people, or you have to. You think. Like, how many of us do not pursue our dreams and do not pursue our true desires and what really feels good to us, because we tell ourselves we can't, and because we tell ourselves it's not possible, and because we tell ourselves that this is the way to go, that this is just the way it is, there's nothing we can do. Bullshit. Okay? Like, the only person who is ever going to give you permission to follow your dreams and to pursue those true desires that you have within your heart and within your solar plexus center, your gut, the only person who's ever going to give yourself permission is you. You right there. Not your mom, not your dad, your sister, your brother, your spouse, your friends. None of them are ever going to give you permission to pursue the things that you want, to experience the things that you really truly desire to experience. You are the only person who is giving yourself permission. And I am giving you permission right now to really connect with those true desires. Like, what do you really want? I was writing in my book yesterday, and this just thought came through and was channeled into the book that I freaking love so much, and I'm going to share it right now. If you really desire to eat meatballs, but everyone around you is just giving you chicken, you're never going to eat meatballs. It is up to you to do, oh, hi, baby, pretty birdie. He wants some meatballs. No. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you really want to eat meatballs, but everyone's always giving you chicken, you're never going to actually eat meatballs. It's up to you to pursue the meatballs, to make them, to create the experiences that bring you those meatballs if you really want to eat them. Because if you just settle and just continue eating chicken because it's what's given to you, you're never going to eat those meatballs. So it's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to all of us to pursue the paths that have been seeded by God, by Spirit, within our beings. Because any desire that comes to you is for you and is given to you by God or by some aspect of you to pursue it, because there is a part of you that knows that you desire to experience that. Like, you are here for a reason. The things that you want, the things that you feel in your heart and your gut that you want to pursue, it's there for a reason. And if you give yourself permission to tune into those desires and to take one small step at a time to move towards those desires, then eventually you're going to find that the reality you're living in and the places that you are exactly what you want. And they enrich your spirit. They enrich your entire being, and they feel so good because they're meant for you. If you continue settling for what is not meant for you just because it's familiar, just because it's like comfortable, because it's easy, like if you always take the easy path and you always live life passively, you're gonna be that guy who's sitting there eating chicken when he really wants meatballs, okay? So I invite you guys to really reflect upon the desires that are within your being and see, are they just desires you're thinking and upholding within your being, thinking that you want because it's just modeled for you and you've been sort of convinced that that's what you really want and that's what's good for you? Or are you able to really tune into your heart and see see a new path, see the path that's being laid before you that may be unknown, may be very different from the path that others are walking around you, but that feels expansive and feels exciting. Like when I think about traveling the world and like sitting with these indigenous cultures, learning about their practices and their traditions, oh my gosh, I get so excited. I have full body chills just saying it. Like, and who am I to not pursue those desires? Like, who am I to just like get a 9-to-5 job because it's expected of me and just like, it is what it is, just, you know, whatever. Like, no, that does not make me excited at all. And yeah, maybe I may have to deal with having less money and having less opportunity as I sort of pivot and switch gears towards my dreams and my goals and my visions. But that dream you have, that goal you have, has been seeded within you for a reason, for a very special, powerful reason. And if you do not pursue it, then you are the only one that is missing out, because God wants you to have everything that you want. The great spirit that animates all of us, this energy, this great mystery that animates all things, like all of these beautiful things, it wants you to have what you want, what you desire. However, it is up to you to define that and to really decondition yourself, deprogram yourself, step off the hamster wheel and really see like, what is it that I truly want? You know, have I just been following these desire cycles because it's what's been modeled to me and it's what's been imprinted upon me for generations, because we felt like we didn't have any other choice, and we feel like once we get that thing that we're told to desire, then we'll be happy. And as I said, for some people, this American dream path works and it's, you know, fulfilling, but not for all of us. There is no one size fits all reality. No matter how much society tries to tell us that, no matter how much this is imprinted upon us, there is no one size fits all reality. We all have different dreams. You know, some of us desire to be world travelers, and some of us desire to be professional gamers. Some of us desire to be teachers. Some of us desire to be students. And when you honor those desires, chills again. So many blessings and so much magic can start to unfold and come your way. You just have to say yes. And you just have to step into that unknown, that unfamiliar territory, and really trust that if it's meant for you, it's going to come to you. I think I'll leave it at that. I thank you all so much for tuning in with me today. I want to give a huge thank you and huge shout out to Dakota of Earth. Check out his YouTube channel. His content has helped me immensely. I've been subscribed to him for years, but just in the past year, I've been really tuning into a lot more of his content, and it literally feels like a version of me and a version of what I want to create, because I've always wanted to like just create content in a similar style that he does and live life in a very similar way that he does. So I'm just very grateful for him sort of going first and giving me permission to, you know, pursue my desires, and really helping me to see that just because everyone around me desires to sit in front of the TV and soak up this government propaganda, to like tune into the divide and conquer of politics, to, you know, live their lives unhealthily, all that, just because people desire to live their life one way doesn't mean that I have to go that way. You know, just because everybody's going left doesn't mean I can't go right. So thank you, Dakota. Thank you to all you beautiful beings tuning in today. I'm sending you so much love. Peace out and namaste.